Part 3 on the Cutlass. Let's make this thing into a worry-free daily driver type car today. Well, you've already seen me drive the Cutlass. Yeah, we know it drives. But worry-free, we're not quite there yet. I've got a lot of lights that don't work, a lot of weird electrical quirks. The cooling system, I'm just going to say, I kind of think it might be kind of marginal. It was a pretty cool day, and we were just running along steady at 60 miles an hour. That doesn't really tax the cooling system. I want to make sure that if I go on the Coon Rapids Boulevard cruise, I can go and stop and go traffic in 90-degree weather with no worries. So let me show you where we're going to start. We're going to start with some lighting issues. So over here, I have a whole box full of bulbs and sockets. Holy cow, that's a lot of bulbs and sockets, isn't it? And I got a new turn signal switch, and I got a new headlight switch. So I'll take you through this piece by piece as I do the work. We're going to start with the headlight switch, and then we're going to do the turn signal switch. And we're going to see what comes back online, because there's a lot of bulbs that just don't do what I expect them to do. After that, we'll get into the cooling system. Well, the mail came today, and there's a nice surprise in it. These are my dust covers that I needed. Remember, I did these PAPs, and they lasted. They stayed on for that drive that you saw at the end of part 2, which, by the way, just ended like 10 minutes ago, but we're filming part 3 now. Anyways, I bought these on eBay from Inline Tube. Inline Tube has a lot of restoration parts. Holy cow, do they ship fast. I think it took 2 days to get here from Michigan to Minnesota, and I ordered them in the evening. So anyways, really impressed with Inline Tube. Let's see how they fit. Oh yeah, that worked. And I'll have to clean up the goo later. A little bit of a great brake cleaner will take that right off. But, oh, look at that. Those are the parts. Success! I will feel a lot more confident about driving the car with those on. Well, I'm about 20 minutes in, and I want to show you a huge victory, or maybe I should say a huge struggle. I got the knob out of the headlight switch. What a pain in the butt. I was under there. It's super awkward. Basically laying on my back on the floor, reaching up. And I could find the button to push to release the knob, but the knob would not come out. Well, I gave her a good spray with some Freol. Press the button again. She came right out. So I suppose you want to know about the button. So here's the new headlight switch. And this is the button right here. So when you press that button, well, I should probably show this on camera. So the switch is basically in now. Won't come out. But when you press that button, which I just did off camera because I've only got 2 hands, switch comes right out. This one was just stuck from old age. So the next thing is I got this little nut here that I got to get out, and I could get all crazy and machine up a special tool, but I'm just going to start with the needle nose pliers and see if I can get that thing to spin backwards and come out. All right, before I get this all the way out, I'll show you what I used. I just used the good old snap ring pliers to spin her out. She's a little stubborn, but she came most of the way there to getting the headlight switch changed. All right, I got it out. Not much of a service loop on these wires, so they kind of stayed up under the dash. You can see there's some corrosion on the old one. I kind of expected that. One problem I know I was having was this rheostat thing here. Basically, wouldn't ever shut off the interior lights. Really didn't even dim them, so there's some kind of short or something with that. I don't know. Cheap insurance. These are standard brand. You know, this is one of those things when you're resurrecting an old car. It's not real expensive. It's not real labor intensive. It's just a good idea to do it just so you have some assurance that your headlights are going to keep working. One other thing I want to note, especially because this is a convertible, I'm giving her some dielectric grease on all these terminals before I shove it in. It's convertible. Things get wet in convertibles. Well, this is the most awkward headlight switch I've ever had to work on. I have been debating how I'm going to actually get this nut started, and I kind of figured it out. I'm going to put I did put the nut right on the switch knob, and I should be able to get the switch up there, jam the knob in, that'll lock it in place, and then I can pull on the knob to hold the switch outward while I tighten up the nut, at least to get the nut started and snugged up. At that point, I might have to take the knob off again to finally tighten it. But, whoa, awkward. This 5-minute job is looking more like a 45-minute job. I'm done. That was not pleasant, not at all. Normally I'd say to replace switches like this just as a precaution, but man, if you get one of these Oldsmobiles with this dash, don't do it unless you gotta. But there it is. It's in. Life should be good now as far as the headlight switch goes. On to the turn signal switch. So I've got real problems with the turn signal switch. It doesn't self-cancel. Some of the lights don't work. I don't know. They're cheap. I'm just going to do it. Shouldn't be nearly as bad as that headlight switch was, because at least it's all just right here, and I already have the tools I need to do the steering wheel. All right, let's see if I can get you some decent action on the steering wheel. I kind of got 2 cameras set up. I don't know how it's going to work out. First thing is getting this horn pad off, which I assume is Phillips screws, but doesn't feel like it. My 6th screwdriver in there. All right, got to run in and grab a mirror and see what's really going on back there. All right, I'm back. Got my handy little dental mirror. And what do we got in there? Oh, we do got a Phillips way down in that hole. So I want to mention right now that I do have my battery disconnected on this car. So I don't know. No sparky. All right, I'm back. Got my cheaters on. Let's spin this around so I can get a look. It just does not want to come off, but there's no more bolts holding it. Oh, there we go. There is one more screw holding it, and it looks like I got to get the wheel off. So I got to get the wheel off before I get that last screw out. Oh well, success here. Nothing damaged, nothing harmed. Emblem's still on the pad. Get that wheel off of there. Well, I don't have the right bolts for the steering wheel puller, so guess it's time to take a little break, charge up the cameras, get the Camaro out of winter storage, and make a run to the hardware store. Well, I'm an idiot. I don't know why that bolt didn't thread in and why I thought it was fine thread, but it was coarse thread. There it is, threaded in. So I drove all the way up to the hardware store to get these fine thread bolts for nothing. Well, almost nothing. I drove the Camaro, and when I was fueling it up, a guy walks up and says, "Oh, I like your car. I used to have one. I still got a taillight hanging around. Do you want it?" And the guy lived 3 blocks away, so I followed him to his place and got a free taillight from him. Not that I needed a taillight, but who passes up a free taillight? All right, here's my puller setup I finally ended up with. A couple 4-inch long, 5/16 18 bolts. It's a harmonic balancer puller, and I put the nut on so the wheel hopefully won't pop off. And let's see if this little guy will pull her. Well, like nothing. Like nothing. Why did that take me an hour? Oh yeah, I was running around wasting time. Okay, here we are looking at it with the wheel off. I got these 3 screws to get off. Take that plate off. This is for the horn. And that worked, although the car doesn't have a horn installed. So that's another thing on the list for today is a horn. Okay, so I am really trying to improve my camera work here, folks. I'll see if I can get you a decent shot of how we get this lock plate off. So this next piece, let's see if I got it framed up halfway decent. And a little tripod sit still. Lock everything down. All right, this piece here, this is what they call the lock plate. And there's a little snap ring in there that holds it on. And there's a special lock plate tool. Yeah, you can see that. There's a special lock plate tool that you can get at auto parts stores, and most of them will rent it to you for free. So I've done it without the tool. I've seen people tell you you can do it without the tool, but I'm telling you, if you can use the tool, use the tool. So the tool's got 2 different thread pitches, and you just thread it on where the steering wheel nut would be. And then you have this, can you see the wing nut? Yeah. You get this wing nut, and you just use the wing nut to depress the lock plate. So let me get a pointing device. Let's see, something that'll have a little contrast. So this ring is right here. So as I depress the lock plate, I'm just turning that wing nut. You can see that ring is getting more and more exposed, and I should be able to, it feels like the lock plate's all the way down. I should be able to find the end of that ring, pop it out, and get that off. So let's see how that goes. This will probably be awkward. Definitely need the cheaters for this step. Where is the end? There, I got the end. I mentioned this is not fun. This is not my idea of fun. There we go. She's gonna come out now. All right. I hope you enjoyed that struggle segment. I know I did not. But we're gonna back this lock plate off right now. So there's no way, no how, that thing slides back into the groove. Okay, so I wiggled that lock plate off. By the way, this is the locking pin up here that's actuated by the cylinder. And this is for the horn. And now I just got to take off this screw, which will take the lever off, and then these other 3, and unplug it. And I should be able to change this out, and it'll be great to have turn signals that actually cancel again. One thing I want to mention is someone's already done the 4-way flasher knob delete on this car, but that's right here, and you just got to press it in a little bit to sneak this thing out. All right, I just want to show you as it's coming out. So I actually had to take the column loose because this plastic sheave was pinched, and there you go. So that plastic sheave is kind of a wire guide, and I found some problems, like how about a broken spring in this one? So I don't know, definitely doing the right thing by changing it out. All right, here's the new switch. Everything matches. The color codes on the wires don't match, but I traced the physical locations, and the physical locations go to the right place on all the connectors. So I think she'll be okay. Gonna slip her in. Well, it started to rain a little, so I took that as my cue to go eat lunch. I ran that power top up. Boy, I like that power top. You know, I've had Jeeps and Scouts since 1990, but I've never had a car that was a convertible. I certainly never had anything with the power top. It's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. All right, well, back to where I was before lunch. So I got the battery disconnected again. Gonna put the screws in that hold the column together and put everything together. I'll stop periodically and show you my progress. Got her all buttoned down. She's got a nice click in both directions, which definitely didn't have before. Didn't have much of a click at all. So things are looking up. I'm gonna keep progressing. Well, it wouldn't quite plug into the car, and this little pigtail connector came with. I think I have to use that to make it plug into the car. It's kind of weird. Never had to do this before in a replacement GM turn signal, but guess you got to do what you got to do. I'll just wire tie it up out of the place. Okay, putting her back together. I got the wiring all buttoned up, the columns attached firmly again. Thought I'd show you how this lock cylinder works. So that's just it. When you turn the key, it pulls it in. Battery's disconnected again. I'm going to get the steering wheel back on. So basically, it's put on the lock plate, which is keyed, only goes one way. Then you throw your locking ring on, and then you use that tool again to depress the lock plate, get the locking ring in place, and after that, everything should be pretty obvious. Just bolt that steering wheel down. Well, Farley and I just took it for a few mile drive to make sure I got the steering wheel centered. So your steering wheel has to be pretty close on center to start with because the lock plate is keyed. There's a little bit of play where the protrusion for the horn comes through, and it gives you about a spline or maybe two in each direction. And so that's what I was playing with, and I got it right on. This is how it's going down the road. I don't know if you could see that, but that's all good. So I'm going to pop the horn button on and then continue on with getting all the lights working. So I converted the Camaro from a straight to a tilt column a while ago, so I had a spare column laying around. So I went and grabbed the button for the hazards for the four-ways off of that. Going to put those on. If we're going to get the lights working, we're going to get all the lights working. Well, I'm down to one turn signal issue left to solve, and it's this left front. It needs a new socket. So I'll show you how that goes. So this is an 1157A bulb. A means amber. Here's the bulb and socket we're going to put in. I know this is one of those things that some people do and they don't think anything of it, and other people have a really hard time with it. Hopefully, if you're having a hard time with it, you won't after you watch this. So, there's the old socket. She's garbage. This new socket's from Dorman. All you do is drill a 3/4 inch hole, jam the socket in there, bend these tabs over, and put your bulb in. Oh yeah, and a little bit of wiring. Can't forget the wiring. So I'm not even going to cut the wires on the old one yet. My opener is 3/4 inch drill bit. There we go. Very neat, very clean. Really, it only drilled away the brass of the bulb there. So it gets right down to it. There's two wires, and one's near the deeper end. Well, maybe neither is near the deeper or shallower end. They're like 90 degrees to it. But if you put the deep end to the left and the shallow end, and by deep and shallow, I'm referring to these grooves that the bulb goes into. You'd probably notice the bulb only goes on one way. This one goes very deep. This one doesn't go as deep into the socket. So if I put it in with the deep one to my left, the blue needs to go to the top lead. And that's important because Dorman doesn't color code these, and there's a reason why. Look at, I could turn it any which way. So I don't know, get that fish back in there like it should be. And we'll find the deep and the shallow, and we'll just cut some wires and splice. Alright, so I can get the tabs through, but the socket, I can get the tabs through, but the socket is so thick. I probably just did a horrible thing. Touched it with the 15/16 just to take down some of the thickness. It may have been a big mistake, or maybe not. Oh, that 3/4 inch drill bit was not the size. All right, 7/8 it is. We will try this again. Oh, that's the ticket. All right. I just need my needle nose and all those tabs out. All right, I need some kind of swaging tool, so I'm going to figure that out real quick. It probably looks a lot like a socket. Well, live and learn. I wasted that first socket. This is the second one. It's in there really good and tight. So whatever drill bit I used last time, that was the ticket. And then you can see that I twisted as I spread those out. She's locked in good. I'm sure it's got a good ground. Let's put a light in and test it out. Well, I'm going to call that a victory. That's a parking lamp and a turn signal, and they're on the correct filament. After a long Saturday working on the Cutlass, Ward and Farley with a little cruise. Farley, come here. Why don't you make an appearance? There. Where's Farley? Oh, you want to be under my arm, huh? I can't really drive that way, Farley. That's awkward. Okay. Sweetheart? Yeah. What a beautiful day for a drive in a convertible. Fresh, crisp turn signal switch that actually self-cancels in both directions. That's pretty good too. Knowing all my external lights work, and you probably couldn't hear it, but the horn works now too. Cars coming around. magneto's pretty far off on it. I checked it with the GPS. So that's on the list of things to fix too. Check, this thing's got a posi. I imagine somebody might have re-geared it when they did the posi. It's saying would have came with like 273s or something really tall. Feels like 323s. I could be wrong. It's not super short gears. It's not super tall gears. It's just kind of in between. We'll check that later. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll be back with more Cutlass work really soon. Mm.